Hi, Sue.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for taking the time to join our What podcast, live and unedited. And it's a real pleasure to welcome you, mostly because you're a cherished part of our CCA team. And also, I'm really looking forward to having the conversation about, well, I'm not going to reveal, but your specialty, your passion for coaching, and where you live as a coach.
Oh, thank you so much.
Do you
It's
like?
an honor to be here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, go ahead. So tell the audience like what's important to know about you first and
Hmm.
foremost, and then we'll get started.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm Sue Belden and I love coaching. I'm an admissions coach with CCA, and that's what I love, to do here. But I also have my own coaching business. And I'm a mom. I have two wonderful adult children now, which is crazy that I'm old enough to have two adult children now. But my life has been a lot of ups and downs, and I'm so happy to be where I'm at now, and I love who I am now. But it's been a crazy road to get there. So I guess about me, I'm someone who loves to very much live in the moment as much as I can, and I'm kind of open to new experiences. I think that's where I like to live at this time, right? So yeah, that's a little synopsis, I guess.
Great. So tell me, okay, so you are an admissions coach, and that came to be because you actually began as a student at Canada Coach Academy a while back.
Yes.
So when was that? Take us back to that.
Good question. I think it was 2000. I graduated 2021. I think I started in November 2020.
Wow.
And yeah, that was do you want to hear kind of how I came to signing up for that?
Sure.
So it was interesting. I did a bit of coaching, on the side, friends and family. I was one of those people that people came to for to just a listening ear and maybe some advice here and there, and really loved it, really felt called to it. Um, I had a major life event. I lost my husband to, as you know, my husband to cancer in 2019. And through that whole process, it really brought me to a point of looking at my life and living it more authentically,
Mm.
realizing how short time is, and that, uh, life isn't something to let yourself pass by. You need, so I really focused on kind of being present. What do I want? And I was looking at a lot of different coaching schools online and doing research. And the funny thing is I actually don't remember booking a call with Wendy, but
Oh yeah.
it was really weird. I tied another school, so I had this call with Wendy, who's the other admissions coach, and she gave me a call, and we were talking, and I said, "What school are you with again?" She said, "Canada Coach Academy." I said, "I don't even remember Googling that." And when those things happen in my life, I often think, okay, this is actually the school I need to be with, because I'm a
Cool.
big believer. Yeah, a big believer when those things happen. You need to open your eyes and go, "Oh, this is interesting. This isn't just a coincidence." So I really enjoyed my interaction with Wendy. Liked what the school was all about. The number one thing that I loved about Canada Coach Academy, and still do, is that we're not interested in creating cookie cutter coaches. That we want to, we present a paradigm, and we want to empower people to put their own personal stamp on it. And to me, with my niche is Christian spiritual life coaching. That was important to me, that I wanted to be the coach that I feel called to be. And so that's how I came to take the life and wellness course through Canada Coach Academy.
Wow. So Christian spiritual life coaching. Tell me more
Mhm.
about that.
Mm. So it's with my niche, and I have a few other niches that I like, but that is my main one. With Christian spiritual life coaching, with coaching in general, right? You hold a space, and we're of the belief that the person you're coaching is already whole and capable, 100%, right? So the answers are within. I think the difference with Christian spiritual life coaching, and people who are getting that coaching with me, they're Christians, right? They're people who do believe in the faith and so forth. So we're inviting Jesus into that space, and we're inviting him into that feeling that the person, I'm coaching is having, right? They're inviting him in, and we're asking for his perspective from that place. And the reason, with that too is I think there's two voices, right? When it comes to this world, I believe that the voice of truth is God, right? And that can absolutely be within us, but we've got a contrary voice of the world, and which is always pressing, always rushed, and oppressive. And so in the Christian coaching space, it's about listening for that voice, which is life-giving, loving, affirming, in terms of who the person is. And so I think that's kind of maybe the difference between Christian spiritual life coaching and maybe just life coaching, in general. And it's and creating that beautiful space within coaching of just trust and intimacy,
Mm.
non-judgmental. God is not judgmental. He's loving and inviting. Um, so the importance of me being centered as well before I start that coaching session with Christ, and saying, okay, God, from the overflow of the love that he has for me, and really kind of praying, and letting that overflow that's with, from my heart, extend into that space of the coaching space, so that the person feels seen and heard and knows that they are. And we talk about how important the coaching mindset is, and not going in with any preconceived notions of what we want out of that session. That is absolutely essential in that space, right? That we're creating. And so it's yeah, so I guess that's it's absolutely life coaching, but it's just inviting Jesus into that space as well, to say, okay, can you partner with us here and help us see it, help the client, so the client can see it, um, through that lens of love, right, and truth.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I guess what's coming up for me is wondering, and from a listener's point of view, I think a lot of people are curious about how can they apply coaching to their worlds and what they're passionate about. So what was it about, the coupling of coaching and supporting others as a Christian?
Mm.
What came to you on that? Like, how did those two come together for you?
Mm. Um, I think one of the ways that I'm gifted is connecting. Um, Connecting myself with, with God spiritually, connecting others, and connecting with others, and my mission statement for my business is creating a space of truth to unlock connection.
Mm,
And so I think what's drawn me to coaching is just having that ability to sit with someone in that, honestly, it's about loving someone. It's about that, period. That's what it is. I feel that the way that I can serve God best, and the world best, is to literally just sit and create that space with them. And that is loving. It is absolutely loving to just have no agenda in, what, you know I want out of that, that meeting. It is literally just, I want them to feel, I want to love them, period, and create that space. I don't need to know them to love them. I think that, do you know what I mean by that? I guess. And
yeah, well, and so I'm thinking, I think I know because I know coaching so well, but I'm wondering, what can you say about what you've learned about holding that space of love for others
mm,
through coaching? Like, what has
what have I?
coaching taught you about that space?
Oh, yes. You know what? I think uh, how much it can unlock possibilities for the client.
Mm,
because I think that's what I've learned. And also removing my ego from the equation in the coaching space,
Mm.
and what I think I know is best for them, for example, because are my bias, right? That can creep in. I think that's definitely what what coaching has taught me is how empowering it is for the other person to recognize that they they can trust themselves and they can trust what that still small voice is telling them, and they can know themselves enough if they take the time to quiet down in that space of coaching, to really listen. And I think that's which is amazing because it's so incredible to see when people get that aha moment and they go, oh my gosh, when they realize that they've been seeing something through one tunnel of vision. And as a coach, when you're asking questions to help unlock their view in terms of what about, I'm curious what it would look like, if you were to consider this or whatever it might be, how that can unlock an explosion of creation within them for their own lives. And there's nothing more impactful for me in my life, too, in terms of rewarding, to be able to hold that space and be a good coach, right? And the way that I'm asking questions, and to be able to witness that and be a part of that, in terms of just that, to be able to connect with someone in that way is such a beautiful gift. So I guess that's what I've really, what coaching's taught me. And also um, witnessing that and really believing in that, and in that the person is whole and capable, has actually taught me to trust myself more.
Mm.
And because it's you get to see the impact from them again and again, and it helps bring me back to a space of, all right, Sue, I'll be able to coach myself in certain ways too. So I've learned a lot from coaching. It's been a beautiful ride for sure, and it continues to be.
Mm. And I just really appreciate how you've brought connection into that, conversation. And I know from previous conversations that we've had that you've called yourself an empath. And
Mm,
I wonder, and I actually hear a lot of people who join the life and wellness program call themselves empaths as well. What can
mm.
you say about empathy having a role in coaching, or just that part of you, that connection? What's important about that in coaching?
Yeah, good question. I think that it's interesting because with being empathetic, and I'll call it kind of in my faith too, I almost call it like that kind of tap on the shoulder by God to be like, yeah, maybe ask this question. I think I think there's so many ways that we communicate with someone, not just our words. Body language is gigantic, right? As we know. But I think there's even more that when you're extremely empathetic, I think you just kind of catch on those little nuances a little bit more on just the tone and the way that someone says a word, or even the energy you might feel from them. That in terms of, they may say one thing, but everything about their essence is saying the opposite. So when when you are empathetic, you can, I think there's a bit of as a coach, you can sometimes see through the mask that they're putting on. And when you can ask the poignant questions to help them know it's okay to speak from what's really inside, that they don't need to wear that mask anymore,
Mhm.
um, that can really, well, I know that's what changes people's lives, because they're able to be honest with themselves, and sometimes for the first time. because they have permission to in the space of coaching. And it's not that they don't have permission to outside, it's just somewhere along the line, we've told ourselves that there isn't that permission, which is a lie. It's a lie, right? So I think that, but I see it over and over in our society. And I think that's why mental health is just at an all-time low,
Mm,
because people less and less have that space to be truthful and are more disconnected, more disconnected, not more connected. It's more false connections through social media and so forth, as opposed to true sitting across from someone, or even through this medium. A fantastic connection can happen, but it's you and I talking as opposed to texts here and there.
mm.
And so we're missing out on learning how to listen to others, connect with others, listen to yourself. And so I think that's very much tied in with connecting, in that way.
Well, I feel like you've touched on something really important about mental health and also what a coaching conversation brings to
Mm,
people. And that to me is that idea that you can, put the mask aside. And so trust and intimacy is one of the core competencies in coaching because we need to have that to be able to really dig into our truth, right? And to
yes,
have a safe space to talk to a coach about your truth, to be able to set aside the shoulds and I have to be like this and I need to do that and I must show up this way and to just say, you know what? I don't know. And a lot of our conversations, as you know, as coaches, begin with people saying, I don't know. And I think that's a really great place to be able to admit to be in is that ambiguity and uncertainty are a big part of why people seek coaches, right?
yes.
Um, so when you're talking to people as an admissions coach for Canada Coach Academy, people, you're the first contact often for people wondering, is this the right school? Is this the right even profession? Am I a good coach? Should I be a coach? Do I have what it takes to be a coach? Um, what are some of the questions that you hear most often? And what can you share with the audience for people who don't know coaching or have or are thinking about it? Um, that you can share that others are also questioning when they come to you as an admissions coach.
Great question. First of all, I love my job because I meet the coolest people. Like
Yeah.
people who are drawn to coaching are just like so vast in so many different ways that in terms of what brings them to coaching. And I think a lot of questions that I'm hit with, there's two streams, right? There's more the life and wellness and the business, right? So I would say, let's start with the business side of things in terms of people drawn to coaching. A lot of people who are coming to get business coaching, they're looking to become better leaders often within the organizations, and they understand that kind of management. A lot of people are thrown into management positions with no training and on how and so on how to connect with people, and so they're losing employees and they're missing out on, they're kind of going, what's going on here? What am I missing? So a lot of people are drawn to coaching courses, the business route, to go, I want to learn how to connect better with my teams and with the people that I'm managing in order to, on all levels, create a better work environment for themselves as well, because they recognize that maybe their communication skills, maybe they're missing something based on old school management, that would happen, communication styles, which is do what I say and just kind of go
Mm,
that route. There are also people who are, a lot of people in the business world who that's their number one thing they love about their job is helping people within the organization kind of figure out what's the next step. And they're the person that everybody in the office comes to be able to talk with, they feel safe with, and they get inspired by that. And so they're like, I want to learn more about coaching because I want to do more of this. This is what lights me up. And that's something I hear a lot about is that it lights them up when they connect with other people and they're able to help them, that other person, when in whatever way that is. They love being that ear that people want to go to, to really share their information with and so forth. Now, in the life and wellness space, similar, in terms of that connecting. But a lot of people I find are drawn to life and wellness. Have often gone through a lot of life's ups and downs, and they want to partner with other people that may be going through what they've gone through, to be able to be that listening ear. They've walked that road of divorce, say they've walked that road of loss through cancer, or the cancer journey, or there's so many different walks in life, troubled childhood, whatever it might be, and they want to be able to be a coach and stand with others who might be navigating kind of the next steps of whatever road that might be, and give back. It's that desire to give back because they feel like, you know, this wisdom that they've gained, they feel like they can sit, because when you have that wisdom, it's easier to sit with someone without having the desire to want to fix it, because they understand that it's a journey and they need to go through it. And when you can just have someone alongside of you, how much that strengthens, have that ear to listen. So I think, yes, for those who are kind of looking at to become a coach, if you get lit up by people, you know, sharing with you, and then getting, better because of their talks with you and so forth, and feeling better. That's often like that. I hear that thread throughout my conversations. And I would really encourage you to, let that be your draw into being a coach. I also get a lot of people who are like, how do I make money off of this? And what do I, that kind of side of it. And I think the danger in starting with that is that if you don't know what lights you up about coaching, then the rest can't come, in terms of like creating a business and so forth. You need to, I think, authentically desire to partner with others and to create that space in order to make it a business, to be able to make it, move forward and understand the value of coaching in itself. A lot of people who know they want to become coaches have often already have a coach or have had a coach in the past, because they see the value of it.
Okay, there's so much that you just said that I want to dig into, but I want to start with complimenting you and Wendy, of course, your co-conspirator as
Conspirators, yeah.
a coach, but you are, I think I can't take a lot of credit for training, you and Wendy and what you do, because I've always, the only thing I've ever said is, speak from a place of passion.
Mm.
And I think that the number one feedback I get from people who have spoken to you or Wendy is how passionate those conversations have been. So
Mm.
I love what you're saying about not putting the money first. And I think that essence of you shows up in our community, because what I find is that our community is filled with people who are passionate before they are entrepreneurs. And, I have a business today because of that. Like, I
Mm.
know that this is what was going to be the result of my passion, right? I didn't know what could become. You have a role to play, a very important role in our organization. And it began with just a passion for wanting to be a coach that led to a business opportunity for you. And I
Mm.
think that that's really an important kind of, just a message about the values of our organization in the way that we speak to people is really about, like, first and foremost, what lights you up and what do you want for the world? And then
Yeah.
let's figure out how to get there,
Yeah.
That was the one thing. And the other thing that came up for me, which I hope you'll speak on, because I know, from a personal side of you, that what you've shared of your loss, your husband, and your life since that loss. I wonder if you could say something about how coaching has helped or
Mm,
supported you through that? Because one of the things, as you know, that comes up even more now than ever is grief. How do we support people through grief? How does grief, how does a coach support others through grief? Because so many people are grieving in different ways.
mhm,
So I wonder if you could speak to that a little bit.
yeah. Oh man. So yes, I did have a coach, and he was a Christian spiritual. He's actually a pastor, and he was. I still hire him as my coach.
Mm,
And because when well, I lost my husband 2019, COVID hit 2000 March 2020, and I had two teenagers.
right.
So it was like a bomb in all ways. And I remember having this feeling of being dropped in the middle of the desert with no compass and zero idea of which way to go. And so I think, no, I know 100% what coaching helped, and with my faith as well, is one, it's okay to be exactly where you're at.
Mm,
And that space in coaching is essential, that space of trust, intimacy, um, and permission to be exactly who you are in that moment is essential for growth in any capacity, especially in grief.
mm,
Um, because micro changes, something that could be like so small to you, Natalie, maybe was gigantic for me, for example. And when you feel that, you know, whatever it might be, getting out for a walk every day, for 10 minutes might be, like just minute for someone else, but for that person, it could look like the Grand Canyon.
mm,
And so I think that in that coaching space to be exactly where I was, and it's okay, then guess what? It's okay to give yourself permission, to go, you know what? I think I just really need to, whatever it is, right? Like today, I need to love myself in this space, and I'm going to make my goal, to just get out into the sunshine for a bit, right? Or whatever that might be. And when you're constantly with coaching, when you're entering that space, and that person is like, hey, you're loved and you're exactly where you need to be in this moment, then it takes all the pressure off, right? It takes, this world is so oppressive with you've got to do this and what's this and so forth. And I think when you're in this beautiful space of permission, um, and you're encouraged to give yourself permission to feel exactly what you're feeling, to be exactly where you're at, then the next step becomes more clear. So coaching in that way is essential, because it did come a time, and I did get counseling as well,
mhm,
but there comes a time where counseling, it was great for past hurt and so forth, but for coaching for right now and moving forward, essential in our world. And it's the missing piece, I think, in the mental health journey for a lot of people. Because I remember at one point, I don't know why I didn't come to getting a coach earlier, but I remember saying, I don't need to talk about the past. I really need someone to help me with right now and the future. And I didn't even at that time connect with coaching. And it wasn't until a few months later that I happened to, get a coach, that I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I was missing. Does that make
mm.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you're touching on an important part of what coaching is. It's not therapy, but
Mhm.
it is honoring the present moment and focusing on where we have the most power, which
Yeah.
is what we can do next, right?
Right.
The
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a really you know interesting point, as well as a companion to therapy, because therapy can be and often is very important to somebody who is grieving, or other challenges, mental health challenges.
Mhm.
Coaching isn't therapy, but it is a great companion to therapy in
Yes.
many instances. Obviously, you know, not every situation is the same, but thinking about, the opportunity for coaches to support others through grief or even challenges, I think that that's something that is, well, it's one of the biggest opportunities of coaching today, right? And I also want to just say that your experience of losing your husband right before COVID, I mean, I can't even imagine how you were put in a position to have to really face that grief in
Yeah.
isolation, in the circumstances of the world at that time. That must have been really, really difficult.
Oh, it was. And that is so where my faith like got so strengthened.
Mm,
So strengthened. Um, because in the Christian faith too, it talks about like in your weakness, God is strong, right? And man, did I ever experience that? Because when I talked about those small steps and kind of just at each point, he illuminated the next step, and it's brought me here now. And it's I think that's what's been so it's learned me how to it's taught me how to live in the present as well. And as we talked about, like coaching is so much about right now. And if you can't really learn to listen to yourself right here in the present, and that's what so much what coaching is too, right? is
mhm.
is when you create that space, then your client has this ability to sit in the present. And so often they're in the future and their minds are racing, right? But when you create that space and they're really able to get present, and again, it unlocks so much for them, and it's such a phenomenal um, the coaching is extremely powerful. It's life-changing. Again, if the person lets it be, right? Because it's always their choice. They're empowered to do what they want with it, with that coaching space, right? But when you've got a good coach who can really ask those questions, and you've got a person who really is willing to be coached and so forth, man, it's incredible to see what happens.
Yeah, and what you've just reminded me of is how it's the experience is life changing for so many people, but in different ways.
Yes.
So one person might be completely taken by the fact that, oh, I've changed my closed-ended questions to open, and that's
Yeah.
changed my world. And
Yeah.
another person might say, well, I've actually started to practice clean language in my everyday conversation, and that's completely changed how I connect to people.
Yeah.
Or listening skills have improved, or just being able to linger and hold space for people. That's been a life changer for a lot of people. So I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, what you're saying about that, the unique experience each person has,
Mhm.
it's really about what are they going to allow in, and how are they going to let this experience change them.
Exactly, exactly. And hopefully if they have kind of a like a little bit of a adverse reaction sometimes, that is such communication too, right? Because, if
Yeah.
they're it's huge, right? I mean, often the best learnings I've had is when I've been like, "Whoa, I don't like that." And then I'm able to go, "Whoa, Sue, why don't you like that? What did that trigger in you? Or what do you associate with whatever, question that was or what happened?" Um, the life and wellness course, if I could speak into that a little bit, I loved it. And just what you talked about, how learning how to ask more open-ended questions, lingering, letting there be silence is something I really learned how to do better. And the power, the impact of that is huge in life. And not just my coaching sessions, but as you said, like in life, to be able to take these lessons. Not to mention the friendships I made through the life and wellness course was fantastic, because when you're in the space of learning how to create trust and intimacy, and you're practicing these coaching skills, you well, I mean, I made some really good friends in that course, and it was
Yes, you have.
yeah.
Even just people calling for to join the programs.
Yes.
You've created friendships from that
Yeah.
as well.
I have, yeah. One of actually my closest friends right now, I made because she phoned in, asking about the course, and we just connected like that. So, it really is. I think when there's people who are drawn to coaching, there seems to be usually a desire to see people, for who they truly are, connect with people, and so I really love coaching community. And it's so, one thing about our global village community that I love too, coaching itself can get lonely, right? Because you're constantly holding space for people. But usually as a coach, we're creative people and we want to, like, exchange ideas or, just share in that way. So the community of the global village is really nice to be able to connect that way, so that you're able to talk with other like-minded individuals to, you know, kind of, kind of just stay connected in that space, because it can get lonely as a coach. I don't know if you've experienced that, Natalie, yourself, but
Well, I'm really happy you brought that up, because one of the reasons we have a community today is that feedback that, well, I also experienced it myself, being like a solopreneur, at the beginning of my career. And when we hire facilitators, one of the greatest, I think, attraction to working with a team is that you're no longer doing it all by yourself, that
yeah.
you're working with other coaches and peers that you can collaborate with. And same thing for the coaches who join our community. They get to collaborate not just with the peers in their cohort, but with the coaches through all over the world that are joining our community. And I think that's really one of the most beautiful sort of, unforeseen gifts that came to us through the building this company and the academy. And that connection in the community, I think, is more important today than it's ever been,
Mm,
because of how, you know, COVID brought us online learning. I think it
mhm,
made online learning accessible and even more, um, like, relatable, or I guess more people took a chance with online learning than otherwise would have if we didn't have isolation and COVID. People
yeah.
were hesitant to learn online. They wanted to be in person and have that connection. And I think that one thing that we've done as a facilitation group is really master the online learning space to create
Mm,
connection. I mean,
mm,
we see it in every group now that comes through, how much they love that interaction, how safe they feel, the vulnerability that shows up so quickly, even the
mhm.
connections that are formed. So I think, yeah, we for sure that's the community is a big part of, you know, that the I guess the value add of our of what has become the academy online.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. I love it. I love being a part of the team.
yeah.
It's been it's one of those things that you never know, okay, sure, I'll try this. And then it's just turned into such um, a gem of an opportunity, just because of the connection with you and Wendy and just the amazing team that we have in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And also just to see the impact it has on the students. I've experienced it, so I know the impact, right? But I love when I get to talk with some at the beginning and then they finish their course, and sometimes they'll reach out and say, love the course, Sue, or whatever. And that makes me feel like, oh, it's really nice to see that kind of full circle, right? And um well, because I love helping people, I love connecting people, and like love helping people, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all have that tie that binds us as the Canada Coach Academy team, is the care that we, and the genuine, passion that we have and belief in what we're doing. I think that that's really something that I've noticed is what is the glue that binds us together, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Um, so I'm conscious of time, and I just want to, maybe give you the opportunity to share what's one thing that you want to say to others about what you've learned. I mean, more about yourself, though. Like, what is
Mm,
one thing that you've learned about yourself that you can say coaching has brought into your life?
mm. I would say, um how important it is to be honest with yourself, with others, and really truthful. Really, give yourself permission to um, be honest with yourself and others, because the most growth I've seen in my life and others is through truth and honesty.
Mm,
And so I think that is absolutely the number one um, lesson I've learned through all of this. And I like who I am becoming more and more every day because of my honesty. And
mm.
and yeah, even, so that, I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned with coaching.
Yeah, and I kind of want to say, and I hope it's okay to say that as an outsider looking in, um, the progress that I've seen you make in your own life, and that like just continuous learning and continuous self improvement, and even I want to dare to say an adventurous side, and pushing your comfort zone, remarried now,
Yeah, remarried. Yeah.
and moving, to new, like just moving forward, creating your future as you go. I think it's been a very beautiful, like, I feel honored to have sat next to you and some of that in our team. And I love that, that I hope, well, I hope that, and what I'm hearing is coaching has helped you in that. Um, and personally, I think if I think about my own experience, coaching has taught me about my strength and resilience, and
Mm,
that's something that we could all use a little more of, recognizing our strengths, and self-compassion, and
true.
the process of reflection that coaching brings, that opportunity for reflection, to really just take a moment to, especially now on January 1st here,
Yeah.
new year ahead, thinking
Yeah.
about that, what have we learned from reflection, and also a moment to just recognize progress.
You know what, Natalie? I love that you said that. You're absolutely right. The reflection and to recognize progress. Um, you know what? To tell you the truth, that's probably my goal for this year. Now that you said that, is recognizing progress. And so thank you for sharing that, because I think when you, thank you for your kind words in terms of seeing, commenting on how far I've grown and so forth. Because that is my difficulty, is this voice of it's never enough, and I need to, I need to. I know I always have to rein that in. And so just exactly what you said is my goal for this year, right? For further growth, because it is so important to see how far we've come, and to see how we've come through things, to recognize that resilience. So when new things come, it's like we can get through that.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think that coaching, the very act of being coached, is the process of building resilience. Again,
Yes.
that's what it does when you're coached,
Yeah.
building your resilience. You're
Yeah.
recognizing your strengths, you're reflecting on failure and on challenges, and looking for the opportunity to learn and grow from that, and
Yeah.
positioning yourself for intentional change.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that's really powerful about the opportunity to be coached.
Yeah. I love that. I'm writing that down. I agree with you. That's well said. I always love how you say things now. I ramble on and you're very succinct. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
So thank you for your time, Sue. It was really nice to spend this time with you. And if there was one thing that you want to share, one closing comment, I'm going to leave the door open for you.
Sure. I think closing comment. Hmm, I want to say, just really sit in a space of loving yourself. And um, what does that look like? So if it's getting involved with coaching or getting a coach, fantastic. But sit in that space of truth and love yourself. And whatever that next step needs to be for you, I say go for it. And yeah, I think that's just my closing comment, kind of for everybody out there, is just life can be so beautiful, even with the ups and downs that we go through, right? So yeah,
Mm.
thank you.
On that note, then I think I'll close with the quote. I think it's a quote from Brene Brown. She says, courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing it anyway.
Yes, exactly.
We practice this daily in our lives.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Natalie. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.